G'day everybody, welcome to episode 19 of the Player Issue Podcast. I am your host, Aaron Warwick, and with me in the news chair tonight is the lovely Emma as always. G'day Emma.
Good evening.
Now, as you can see from Emma's camera, we are trying something a little bit different tonight. Please don't forget to drop a comment in the comment section if we like it or not. I think it looks rather good. You can see a little bit better of the background. You can see the jumpers.
I think it looks better.
M looks all right. M looks good. If you like it, please let us know. If you don't like it, or if you have some opinions or something you want us to try, then please feel free to let us know and we'll give it a crack, because we're all about pleasing the audience here, isn't that right, Em? Yep, so we changed the direction of where she's sitting or the camera, but the start has not changed at all.
Can't start off too. You can't. You've got to ease into it.
I think Dermot actually did that last week.
He did, yeah.
Prior to the show starting...
I think Dermot was worse than me.
Prior to the show starting, I was a bit worried because Tommy's told me before he's come, he said, please send me a list of questions that you're going to ask me because I'm a bit shy. I'm not much of a public speaker and I don't really know how I'm going to go if I just get asked a question off the back. So, and Dermot is a very loud man. So, when he was at the football, he was incredibly loud. And
he got told to sit down.
So when he was in
being
here,
so loud.
When he was in here, we were just having a general chat. He's off and going and he's all excited. As soon as the record button hit, went into his shell. So he took a little bit longer to get going, and Tommy was the complete opposite. He was off and racing. So when I said that Dermot was a disappointment, I was actually surprised that Dermot didn't get up and about. So wasn't disappointed at all. It was a great show. I appreciated the lads coming on. Tommy, of course, coming all the way from Victoria and spending a couple of hours with us, really, in the end.
He was only here for like 24 hours or something, or 48 hours or something, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was only here for just over 24 hours, and he spent some time with us in the cave and then came to the footy with us. So that was great to finally get him on the show. I had met him before last year, very briefly, when he stepped out in front of me on the walkway at Optus Stadium. Jumped in the front of me, just like he did with Dermot last week, as a matter of fact, and said, "G'day, Aaron." And I said, who the hell is this bloke?
I think the funniest thing was Dermot was so angry about that guy abusing him that Tommy walks straight up to him, shakes his hand. He's like, "Hey, mate, how you going?" And he's like, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah,
we all four of us start walking together, and he's like, "Who are you?" He's like,
Absolutely hilarious. I said, there's Tommy, when we're walking up to him, but Dermot's looking at the ground, just shaking his head. He's really upset.
He's so upset.
So, yeah, as soon as he shakes his hand, he's, hey.
All four of us started walking together. Nothing. Who are you?
That was gold. Eventually they worked out who they were, and off they were.
Off they went.
Just chatting away between the two of them, two Brisbane Lions supporters who just had a win, so they had a great time after that. But no, thanks to those lads for coming on. We had a really good time last week. Em, what about you? You weren't even on the show last week.
I was here.
You made some appearances here and there, but you weren't on the show at all.
There was no room.
You were in the background.
I was in the background. I was sitting on the couch watching Home Improvement.
Yeah. How was that for you?
Good.
You enjoyed watching the show back?
Yeah. I took all the behind-the-scenes photos.
Which we've shared one of them.
Yeah.
Oh. Anyway, we have a somewhat shorter show today.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, we'll see how that goes. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and drop a comment down below. Please, that side, probably better. Don't forget to share, because we want to share your feedback on the show. We want to read out your questions. We want just some general feedback would be great, but we just want to share what you guys want to see or what you like or don't like. So please let us know so we know in future what you want to see. Because this week, I have no feedback at all. Em, have you got anything?
No comments, no feedback, nothing.
I did have a couple of people, or a few people message me say that they really enjoyed the show, but that was it. No comments on the YouTube,
On the YouTube, sound
or
like my mother.
Facebook or anything. So please let us know so we can read them out on the show each week. And
Remind us we are not wasting our time.
well, that would be good too. We have got a few more viewers last week, which is good. So the viewers are getting back on show. And also shout out to Leighton Brown, who said he'd actually enjoyed listening or watching the show and was actually really sad that the show wasn't going when we were in America, and he's actually keen to get back into watching it. So shout out to you, Leighton, who's back into collecting as well. So we had mentioned that Leighton had sort of dropped off a little bit
we just
because
had a
he had some stuff
conversation
to
about
do.
it the other day.
Yeah.
I just said, where'd Leighton disappear to?
Yep. Well, the man is back. He's back collecting. So sometimes when they disappear, it's not a bad thing. But when it is Leighton, it's kind of sad. So I'm glad he's back. He's a very good man, great
Especially
collector.
when it's like someone you see in the cave quite a fair bit. Like,
Mm.
he always came round and we'd always see him. And like, even I'd have a chat with him because he got, me and him got to know each other. And then, he just kind of disappeared. And you're like, it's not so much disappearing from the whole collecting thing. It's more like, shit, I hope he's all right. Like, hope nothing serious has happened.
He had a few bills to pay. His car wasn't too happy, a few bills to pay. And in this sort of game at this moment, these last few years, it's been difficult because it's been very expensive. And those who have houses and mortgages and car loans and all that will understand that it is not easy at the moment. So
Very
completely understand.
poopies.
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 Nice work, Em.
Keeping it PG.
As I said, no feedback, unfortunately, this week. We are actually sponsored this week, Em. So we will give a quick shout out to our sponsor for the week, who's actually given us a prize to give away, which Em will show very shortly. But this week, and let me just quickly bring it up on screen so you can see it all, we are sponsored by Z Entertainment, who this coming Wednesday, have a show, Frio's Finest, which includes Luke Ryan, the gun All-Australian from down back, who gets very little plaudits and I think is on the top of everybody's list of most underrated Freo players. And you've got the captain, Alex Pearce, and the latest Doig medalist, Lockie Schultz, will be there. Hopefully he'll have his Doig medal there with him as well. That would be pretty awesome. Doors open at 6:30. Photo packages start at 7. And then the event starts at 8 o'clock, which is actually perfect timing because the Matildas game is on, I believe, at 6. So it kind of works out kind of well. If you do want to get a photo package, it's probably about half time once that happens. So get a photo with them. As you can see down there, the photo meet and greet packages are $49. It is a non-signing or videography event, unfortunately, but you can get a photo with all three of the lads at the Camfield this Wednesday night. Frio's Finest, and it will be hosted by Paul Hazelby. So, as I said, at the Camfield at Burstwood Drive, hosted by Paul Hazelby, run by Z Entertainment, who has very kindly donated to us as well, Em. You're going to show the people what Z Entertainment have given us as a gift or a giveaway, which we still have to work out exactly what we're going to do as far as the giveaway goes.
I said maybe do the fudge. I can't remember the word.
What's in the cave?
What's in the cave? Yeah, but then I don't know.
It's not small. So Em, it's behind you. So if you want to grab that now,
it's not postable, and if it is, it's going to cost a bit.
Yeah. So that's the only issue we have is it's not exactly small. So trying to post it might be a little bit difficult. As you can see, Em has got it up there and holding it up for us. It's really, really cool. It's a David Mundy signed print. It doesn't have a number, so it looks like it was one of those artist-proof numbers of 376, which, of course, he played 376 games in his career. So very, very cool. Thank you to Z Entertainment for that. As far as how we're going to give it away, we'll have to figure that out. If anyone wants to drop some ideas, it'd be great. We may be able to post it to a winner. We'll just have to figure out how exactly we're going to give that away. But as I said, that is donated to
Or even
us.
if like someone wins it and it needs to be posted, or say just for say Dave Causey won it, for instance, and he's in Melbourne, and he goes, oh, actually I don't want that because I don't go for that team, but my mum lives in WA and she loves David Mundy. that type of thing is fine as well. If we end up giving it to someone or that person wins it and they want to gift it to someone else, that's fine.
We'll figure that out.
Yeah. That's what I
You
mean.
guys can decide
That was
what you
just
wanna do.
don't count your chickens, Dave.
We'll figure out how exactly we're going to give it away, and then you guys can work out. We'll probably be able to post. I'll do it from work, so we'll work it out.
Dave would probably Dave and Dave. Other Dave Causey would probably use that as firewood.
Damn. 376 game around. The guy's a champion.
But it's not Melbourne.
No, that's true. So thank you to Z Entertainment for sponsoring the show today. We appreciate your support. There will be actually some items at that show that they will be auctioning off, player issue and match worn items from the cave. They did come from here, and they will be auctioned off. No doubt will be signed by the boys as well. A couple of Luke items. I didn't give them anything else, but they do have a couple of Luke Ryan items from the cave. So, I'm very white.
Why are you so white?
Oh, very, very white there.
Oh, there we go.
I know I'm white, but damn, I'm not that white. We had a good weekend this weekend at the football. Mm-hmm. For those watching at home, the last game that we just went to was the Derby. As we mentioned, Toig Mellis, Lockie Schultz. I keep going white. That's what's going on there. Anyway, it was a good time. West Coast fans may not think the same thing. They were very cock-a-hoot after the first 2 goals. We were very nervous.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking to Alex Pearce in the rooms afterwards, he was also very nervous after those first 2 goals.
The one game I can't stand is the Derby because it's just very stressful. It's very stressful. I can't, no offense if you're an Eagles supporter, I can't deal with the Eagles support. I'm talking about the Eagles supporters, and I know there's Freo supporters out there that like this too, but I'm talking about the ones that are just cocky as all fuck. Mm-hmm. We are cocky as well, but my best friend's an Eagles supporter. We're like, whatever, cool, move on type thing. But some of the supporters, like, they're the ones I don't like being next to because I can't deal with it. It's too much for me. It's too much. It's like the Freo sale all over again. It's too much. I can't deal with it. Hate the derbies. I didn't hate this derby. No. I thought this derby was bloody beautiful.
After the first 15 minutes from there, it went all downhill for West Coast.
It was great.
And it was fantastic to watch
brilliant.
As a Fremantle supporter. Maybe even as a neutral supporter, it would have been good to watch because it was just goal after goal after goal. It was wonderful.
I may have turned into the arrogant supporter after that.
You did a little bit. I had to calm you down a little bit because you're getting a little bit fiery.
The guy next to me was annoying me.
But it was good fun, and like I mentioned, we did have locker room passes to go into the locker room after the game. So we were sat up right at the very top, but thanks to Lockie Schultz, we had those tickets in the first place. We wouldn't actually had a ticket to go to the game.
No, it wasn't a home game.
So Lockie Schultz, shooter himself, did hook us up with a couple of tickets to go to the game, which was very nice of him. Thank you, Lockie. He also gave us change room passes to go into the change rooms after the game and sing the song with them. So a couple of minutes or about a minute before the game was due to end, we went running down the stairs and down the escalator and bolting to get to the sidelines right in front of where they did the medal. They announced the Doig medal when we were screaming out for Lockie to win it, and he did. And so we were like, let's go meet Lockie in the change room. So off we went. We went to the change rooms. We had some good time in there as well. We got ourselves in a really good spot this time. I know last time we didn't have the greatest spot. But M filmed them coming in. Oh, Mocha didn't go too well. And filmed them coming in, and we were right dead center. So enjoy the Freo song if I can get it to work. there you go. Damn. Good to reenact that. Oh, reenact? No, that's not the word I'm looking for. Rewatch that. Yes, thank you. Great time we had in there. We did catch up with Alex Pearce, who came up to us. Noticed, actually, as he walked into the room, he saw me and gave us a thumbs up. So that was really cool that he came back and saw us. And the reason we were there was because of Lockie Schultz, and he gave us tickets or change room passes to come in, and then we waited around for him for a fair while. But obviously, he'd won the medal, so he had to do a whole bunch of media. And then when he did come out,
we'd left.
I
said that would happen. I said, I bet you we leave, and he comes out.
Yeah.
Poor bugger.
So he did a ton of media. We waited for 45 to an hour.
Yeah, we're about
almost
an hour, yeah.
So we did wait a fair while, and he did come out at one point, but then he got grabbed for more media, and then he went back in again, so we thought, oh, that's it, he's gone. But then he messaged me that night or the next morning, I can't remember, and said, I came back much later on and looking for you guys, but it looks like you're gone. So he did come back out to catch up with us, but it was also very grateful for us to be there, which is really, really cool to hear. Doesn't look like he had his friends or family or girlfriend there at all. So
didn't see anyone there
didn't
for
have
him.
anyone to celebrate with except for the team. So felt a little bit sad for him that we didn't actually get to catch up with him. But really cool of him to do that for us. We really appreciate every single time one of these lads hook us up with anything, because it's always good fun. And to be there at the Derby and then go in and sing the song after the Derby, as you saw, the trophy was placed into Carl Warner's hands as his first win. Finally, he got a win. And he got to carry the trophy into the rooms and place it down, which was super cool to see. Yeah, we had a good time in there. It's really good. Now, a couple of announcements this week were a few retirements. Now, we'll just stick with a few WA-based ones, which is the West Coast Eagles had a few this week. Shannon Hearn and Luke Shuey announced their retirements during last week, actually, so they knew about it coming into this week's game. So, unfortunately, the West Coast players really didn't put up too much of an effort for them, for their outgoing players, but is what it is. They're just not having a good season, let's be honest. I feel bad for them, but at the same time, I also don't. I kind of feel bad for the supporters in a way, that watching that is just god-awful. But then when we got excited about us beating them in a derby, they were not happy about us being happy, because they were just in a terrible mood. I will, however, give them credit, because there was 51,000 people at the derby, and they cheered pretty hard. They did actually cheer pretty
even
hard.
when they got the third goal?
When they got the third goal and then it was denied, they cheered like crazy when they got that third, and then they pulled it back. Oh, they went nuts. And then they eventually got it, the third goal. I think Gaff got it the next quarter. So it took them a while to get it in the fourth quarter, I think it was. But yeah, they were still there fourth quarter. I mean, none of them all there. Quite a few of them were gone by half time. And then by third quarter, that's when the mass exodus happened. But there was probably about 18,000, 20,000 at least left in the fourth quarter. And they were going pretty hard cheering their team on. So good on them. I'll give it to them. And they did show up in droves, and they have been all year. So well done to them. Also, another announcement today, actually, was the retirement of Nic Nat. And I guess it's a little bit of a surprise, because he did just sign a new contract not that long ago.
I kind of saw it coming. Like, he's just always injured.
Yeah, I mean,
I feel like
writing's on the wall, really.
I feel like he would have also said to him, like, look, what's the point? Like, I mean, obviously he wants to play footy, but he's just not. He's not there. Every time he was on too, he just wasn't up to scratch anymore. He just didn't play that well.
No.
So I feel like he's kind of said, well, look, move me on to get something bit better, because they need a rebuild. They really need to rebuild.
Yeah, the rebuild, I guess, started a couple of years ago, but because they've just had, I wouldn't say hangers on, but these players, these senior players that have been around for a long time, who just keep getting injured, the real rebuild just can't get off the ground. So I guess it's kind of good for them that, I mean, they're going to be in for a world of pain for the next few years. It's not going to be pretty.
I think the next few players are not saying that they're not good players, but they'll probably start getting rid of, or start in the next few years thinking of getting rid of, is like Gaff and Darling and stuff. Like, they've been around since I can remember. Like, they're going to have to be either moved on, or they're never going to fully have a new team like us. Like, I mean, I'm not saying we're playing well, but we've got a really young team. For every time someone's injured, we've got someone to back that up.
Yeah.
And someone young to back that up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So West Coast have kept these senior players for a long, long time, and they've
Mm.
great stalwarts of the club, and they've won premierships, and they've done everything for that club. But as you said, with Freo, they've moved on majority of their senior players. Dave Mundy was the last of them. They're super young now. Michael Walters is the oldest
Probably the oldest, yeah.
player with the most experience. But
The
he's only 30 or 31, and now we are the youngest team in the AFL, but really showing signs.
when we were watching the Derby, they were so slow. They were slow, like really slow. Like they just couldn't keep up with us. Like
Listening to the commentary and the stadium commentary was laughable because Scotty Cummings played for West Coast, but he was not shy in telling it how it was.
just kept saying, these guys are garbage. Absolute garbage.
Pretty much every play that Freo did, just running through the midfield.
They were
just
so slow.
walking around training cones. And yeah, he would say, these guys are garbage or pathetic. He was using pretty harsh words. They were saying they were pathetic.
Yep. Can't
They
even
were
buy a goal
trash.
at this point.
You love that
Oh,
one.
I loved that one. That was great. No, but they are. They are just slow. Like, and the younger players aren't slow, but then the younger players can't be on every Tom, Dick, and Harry. Like, you know. So yeah, they are really slow.
Yeah, I mean, they should have been able to get up for a derby. They played well in the last couple of weeks. They had a win against North, which this isn't the hardest thing in the world, but they beat us. So
I think the sad thing is like if we played how we played against them, against say Melbourne, Geelong, Carlton, all that, we'd look like shit.
Yeah, so
we look like trash.
We won by 101 points, but that game didn't say how good we were at all. It just showed how really poor West Coast are.
There were so many flaws of ours that we were doing that you and I were like, oh, God, that's typical, something they normally do. But because West Coast just weren't up to it, it just made us – it didn't even make us look good. It just made them look slow.
Really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, the lack of pressure was insane because the amount of times that we had so much space in the forward 50 to just pick out an option because there was too many of them at times and then drop the ball down the back line, but still had plenty of time to pick it up and pick another option. Sonny Walters stopped in the top of the 50 at one point.
He was like,
said,
anyone?
I don't know if I should go for it myself or I should pass it. He had that much time to have a good think about it.
He had time to think about it, yeah.
He stood in the middle of the spot just doing nothing for a while and then decided, I'll get over there.
Yeah, there was no pressure.
It was really bad. So I feel really bad for West Coast fans in that aspect that they have to watch that trollop because it's awful to watch. And it's going to take them a fair while to get on the other side of that because now that those senior players are gone, they'll start getting the younger players in, and that's going to be their start of the rebuild. It's going to be 3-4 years until they start doing anything. It's going to be a very painful few years. And even Alex Pearce and the change rooms were saying the same thing, that they're in a world of hurt, but they didn't want to not hurt them. He was saying that they really wanted that 100 points because they really wanted to stick it to them. And Brendan Cox said the same thing when we caught up with him yesterday. He said that West Coast players, the first couple of goals, were really starting to chirp and talk shit. A terrible thing to do when you're not having a good season, and then Freo piled on 17 goals, and it's awful.
I think it's because we cop shit from them all year round, like as well. Like, for instance, there was a post the other day from the West Coast Facebook page, and it was the final game score, and they said, "Be honest with us. What are your thoughts?" Oh, in the comments, we're like, "Well, still have more flags than them. Well, how many trophies do they have in their cabinets and stuff like that?" And I'm like, that's not what they mean. They mean, like, what are your thoughts on the game? Like, but the West Coast supporters are just always like, well, we've still got more flags than you. Yeah, true. That's fine. But this is why we enjoy thumping the shit out of you when we do, because you talk shit like that all the time.
Yeah, that's right.
We cop it all year round, day in and day out.
Yeah. I agree. We do have to take our chances when we get them because they're few and far between. We're actually only, I think, eight derbies behind now to even it up. We actually got really close. I think we were only 1 or 2 behind at one point, and to even it up, and then they went on a run again. So we're not far off. I think we'll catch them at some point. It's a good chance that we'll catch them in the next 4 years, and that'll be exciting. Back on evil terms. But again, until we win a premiership, we don't have anything.
We've got nothing. We've got nothing.
So yes, you do have extra or 4 premierships. We'd have 0. I'll give you 1 because that was only one was won in the AFL.
I was just about to say, yeah, one of them was won, but the ones that were won Can't speak English.
The three
Freo
prior
weren't even
to-
around.
Yeah,
Freo
three
weren't even
prior
around.
to Fremantle coming in.
Yeah.
I don't really count that as far as them gloating over us. I'll give them the one in 2018 because we were. Sorry, that's a complete and utter lie. They won 3 since we've been around. So
Yeah, no, I mean the ones before that though.
I'm butchering this.
The ones before we were even around don't
Yeah.
really count.
92 and 94, I don't count that as a gloating point. 2006 and 2018, yes, I'll give them those. So they're 2 up against us as far as I'm concerned. But yeah, they've got more premierships than us.
But also, the ones that they won before Freo were around, guess who half their players were?
No, I mean, they had much better pick of the options than we ever got.
Half of their players were Freo players, and then they left West Coast to come to Freo.
I wouldn't say that.
Yeah.
We got a couple, but not many.
Yeah, but they still... Never mind. Moving on. Let's stop the whole Eagles talk. I'm over it.
Yeah, that's true. We'll move on from the Eagles chat.
I'm over
However, there was one thing. The reason I brought it up.
Oh, sorry.
The only reason I brought up the retirees is because I really wanted to show this. And I've actually held on to this for a while.
Okay.
And I've been waiting for the perfect moment. And this just happens to be that perfect moment. So, as I mentioned, Nic Nat announced his retirement today.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I saw something on Facebook Marketplace. This would have been a couple months ago now. But I've been waiting for the right moment to show it. This is definitely it. This was on sale. Or someone had this up for sale. Now, check this out. I'm excited to show this. Check this out. Ready?
Oh, it's authentic. It's got to be authentic.
Now, there's barley jumpers, and then there's this. What is this?
It's authentic. Hey, when have you ever seen another one look like that?
This is definitely homemade, and they were legit. I thought this ad was taking the piss, but they were absolutely legit in their advert wording. It just simply said Nic Nat, West Coast Eagles authentic jumper.
The authentic. It says so in the advert.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Clearly, it's authentic. It says so in the advert.
Oh, I just couldn't help myself. It's god awful. Now, I feel like no one tried here. That some child made this in their school.
It's probably some sort of like school thing.
Yeah.
Well, they were like, okay, make your favourite player on a jumper type thing. And the mum's gone, oh my God, it looks exactly like it. Let's sell it.
Yeah. Someone's going to want this.
Someone will want this.
I don't.
It'll go for top dollar. Because I put in the advert that it's authentic. Do you know what? It's not... I can't even speak. It's not authentic. It's fucking unique. That's what it is.
Matt Harvey.
One of one.
Matt Harvey's just started a unique jumper collection. Matt, I think you need that.
Oh, yeah.
That Nic Nat in your collection because that is unique indeed.
You'll never find another one like it.
Blake Cook's got the best barley collection I've ever seen. That one outweighs his entire collection. That's amazing.
You don't have a collection until you have that.
All right, well, get off that now. But
God.
how good was that jumper? It's the best I've ever seen.
Detail in the eagle.
If you see something like that you feel that we should be showing on the show, please send them through to us. I'd love to put up what you have found. Would love to do a segment like what the Bounce does. Andrew Gaze does the social something that he does, where he shows stuff on social media. I'd love to do that. Send them through. We'll show off some funny, hilarious stuff that you would like to see because I thought that was one of the best things I've ever seen.
I thought it was rather authentic, to be honest.
Now,
how much do they want for it, by the way?
Yeah, I should have mentioned that.
How do they want for it?
$25.
Oh, come on, Matt. Buy it. It's $25.
I would not pay anything for that.
It's authentic.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen.
It's authentic. Anyway.
Bloody awful. Anyway.
Anyway.
Speaking of social media stuff, now this is something I have seen on social media recently. And we've talked about this sort of thing previously where, I have another video that I haven't actually put up, but we'll talk about that in a minute. We've talked about this sort of stuff a little bit as far as meeting players and the experience you get with them. Now, this guy, and this isn't AFL, actually. This is NRL. But I don't really know this guy. I've never seen him play or know really anything about him except for apparently he's one of the best players in the NRL, and people think very highly of him because he's such a well-respected young man. And I just saw this video on social media and thought they must be right because the joy that he gave this child is incredible. And then what he gave him was also incredible. So let's check this video out. We'll bring it up now. Enjoy this.
Birthday? Yeah, this week, Thursday. Hey, mate. Right here. Take this off, bro. Can you take it off? Yeah. Thank you, bro. Bye-bye. Somebody else, you take it off. Yeah. Where's the thing? Oh, mate, that's amazing. Kenny, he's going to give it to you. Kenny's going to give it. Just wait, Ken. You got a tester? Yes, we do. Kenny, oh, you got one? Thanks, Josh. Ken. Come here. Yeah. Jump up. Ready? Ready? Smile, ready? Smile there, look at it. Ready?
There you go. So I noticed that, I don't know where I saw it, but after all the things that we've said about some people meeting your heroes and perhaps not having the best experience, then you see something like that. And I don't know anything about him, like I said, except for I've heard nothing but good things about this Josh Addo Carr. And then I see that video and I think, what a legend of a bloke. Those who would have heard the audio, Em couldn't actually hear it. I was trying to explain to her as you're watching it yourself. He asked, well, first of all, he got the kid over, got a photo, and the kid, just the joy on that kid's face,
he was pretty
just from
happy.
getting a photo. He didn't care about anything else except for just getting a photo with his favourite player. And then he says to him, is it his birthday? And he said, it's his birthday in a few days or whatever. And no thought, just immediately. He didn't get asked. That's the thing, is we're talking about all the kids going to the show or to the games, holding up signs, wanting something off these players. This dude didn't ask. No one asked him for anything. He simply said to him, is it his birthday? And he said, yeah, in a few days. And immediately comes off the shirt. And this kid, you can see the joy on that kid's face, started just immediately bawling when he realised what was about to happen. And he still had the big cheesy grin on his face, where he still had tears in his eyes, and he's holding back, just bursting out in tears. And then he turns around and gives him a big cuddle and gets chucked back over. Now, that is a moment that changes a kid's life. And not only is he now the biggest fan of Josh Addo Carr, but he may have already decided he wanted to play NRL. Now he's really going to go hard at it. And he's going to remember that in future. If he ever does make it, he's going to remember that experience he had with that player, and he's going to go back and he's going to use that because he's going to be exactly the same way as he was treated in that video. So I think those moments that you see, those things happen, they mean the world. And that video was a minute long, I think, something like that. So that 1 minute that he took out of his life, or at the end of that game, to show that kid that much respect and just make his world, was something worth seeing. So I'm sure there are plenty out there of AFL as well. If you have experiences with AFL players doing that to you or your kids, or you just see them around the traps, let us know. We'd love to see them, because I thought that was absolutely tremendous. Almost teared up the first time I saw that video.
Cute little kid too.
Yeah, he was absolutely stoked. So well done to Josh Addo Carr and the gentleman who took that video for us to show you guys. I thought very, very cool. In the last 2.5 weeks, I have bought a new car.
Yes, you have.
The little black beast, as I like to call it. I don't know why I call it black beast, because it doesn't go very fast, but it does if you put your foot down.
Because it looks beastie?
Yeah. Well, I can't remember what I was...
I always say mine looks beastie, and mine's blue with Baby Yoda written on it.
Yeah.
But I always like, look at it. It looks like a beast.
So if you would like to see my car, I do have a couple of photos for
Oh,
you.
hang on. Where's the photo of my car then? Oh, we're showing cars now.
Well, your car is now 3 years old, so it's not new anymore. Here is my new car, my black beast.
Just in case anyone was asking, here's my car.
How good is that? Sexy as hell. The black sleekness, I should call it. The black sleekness.
Look at that grass.
Look at that grass.
Look at that grass.
gorgeous.
Oh, fucking brilliant.
Now it was wet, so that's not dirt at the bottom of the car. There, it was just very wet on the this is the very first day I actually got this car. And then here's a picture of the gorgeous interior, which is so much fun to look at, and at night time it's even better. So this is a Cherry iMotor 5. If you haven't heard of it, it is a beautiful car. Make sure you check it out because they are lovely to drive and they look great and they're very fun. Now they've actually been tinted since then as well. It's much darker, so it looks great. That's my new car. Tommy and Doug got to enjoy that last week. They joined us in the back seat on the way to the footy or on the way back from the footy. You okay? You look
Tommy
lost.
and who?
What did I just say? I said Doug
Doug.
again, didn't I? I'm calling him Doug from now on. I actually don't care.
Dermot, your name's Doug.
I have called him Doug before, and I stuck with it.
That's all right, Dermot.
I told him.
He calls me Milo.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah. So I'd much rather be called Doug.
I don't mind. You know what? Doug McDermott was a cricketer, and that's always stuck in my head. So no, I don't think he was a cricketer. He was. I don't even know who Doug McDermott is. Craig McDermott was a cricketer. Stuff do I know who Doug McDermott is? But I've called Dermot Doug a few times in the past, so I actually told him that was his new nickname.
So Doug, sit
I'm going with
down.
it.
You're being too loud. Sit down, Doug.
I'm going with it. Doug and Tommy joined us in the back of the new beast on the way back from the footy, so they got to enjoy it at night time.
And me and Dermot were like pushing the light buttons in the back, and we're like, "Oh, look at this! Look at this!"
Oh yeah,
Look at
that's
the air
right. Tommy sat
conditioner.
in the front, didn't he?
Yeah.
The last week we've seen some release, or the last couple of weeks we've seen some release of some retro jumpers.
Mm-hmm.
The Freo one got announced last week. The Western Bulldogs one was played in a couple of weeks ago, and then this week was the Port Adelaide retro jumper. We'll bring that up for you now. So if you remember, or if you've seen it, this is Port Adelaide's retro jumper that they wore on the weekend against GWS. I think it is tremendous.
I think it's fucking beautiful. I just don't like the MG. The MG is a bit too big, but minus that, the jumper is pretty.
Now, the only comments about this jumper that were negative were the white part at the very top, the white bolt, is a bit wide.
Well, get off it now.
That were the only negatives that people were saying. I'm in a little bit of agreement that is maybe a touch wide.
Nope. You're completely wrong. It's beautiful. Don't need to change anything about it. Do you know why? Do you know what? Oh, you
What are you
fucking
doing?
idiots. Do you know why it's wider at the top? Because lightning starts off wider and goes skinny.
All right,
I'm not doing that again. I'm glad you didn't have me on
I
film.
didn't have
then.
you on camera.
Do you want me to do it again?
Nah. Yeah, actually, go on. Do it again.
Do I have to repeat the whole thing?
Yeah, go on.
Fuckwits. Do you know why? Do you know why it's like that? Because lightning bolts start off thick at the top and go skinny. Right?
Yeah, all right.
That's why it's thicker at the top.
Thanks for that lesson.
Yeah.
Here is the back of that jumper as well, which looks fantastic.
Look at that head.
Yeah, it's a nice head.
Look at that head. Look at the shine.
Loved his goal that he
Such a
kicked from
polish.
the pocket and then ran straight to his own
You
sign.
got peppered.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
Sign that, Chick had said you got peppered. That was brilliant.
The back looks great. That number font is beautiful. No AFL logo on the bottom of the numbers, which is not the first time they've done that. I believe it's the second time they've done it on a retro jumper.
Are you allowed to do that?
I didn't think you were, so I'm actually surprised that they did get away with it. Obviously, the AFL approved it, but I'm actually quite surprised that
Maybe they didn't pick it up. I like it.
Oh,
though.
they definitely did. They would have
I
had to
like
get
it.
approved. But yeah, I really, really like that
Beautiful.
jumper. Port Adelaide have done very, very well with their jumpers this year. I know we had a bit of a chat about one that we didn't particularly like from last year, but this year they have nailed all of their jumpers. They've done great here. This retro looks brilliant. I'm in agreement that is a little bit too wide at the top. However, that's very nitpicky. If you made it just slightly skinnier, I think it would have been great. But really, that's very nitpicky. I don't actually really mind that much because I still think it looks great. And Em's just staring a hole in the room here at the
No,
moment. She doesn't agree. She
Nope.
likes it the way it is.
I think it's perfect.
All right. Well, there you go, Port fans. Em thinks that jumper is perfect. So well done to Port Adelaide for that one. And that auction is going on right now at Official Memorabilia.
That's going to be an expensive
It
auction,
will
isn't
be
it?
incredibly expensive. That's going to go ape shit. Now, we just talked about the Dogs Retro. Here is that Dogs Retro.
That is interesting.
That is also known as the Robo Dog.
Was that actually more?
They wore it a couple of weeks ago now.
No. Like previously in
yeah.
the past.
They wore it a couple of times. The last time I remember was 1997. I think they might have worn it in 95 as well, the Ansett Cup. And then the 97 Ansett Cup potentially as well, from memory. I'll have to look that up, but
Don't mind it.
I think it's great. The original is fantastic. This is pretty close to the original. I think it's brilliant. Love it. However, the auctions did go not particularly amazingly well, which is a bit surprising. They ended.
Is this the one that you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, ended 2 days ago. I managed to pick one up for $300, which for a retro I think is really, really cheap. It was only player issue, so the match ones I think started around $460 for a match one, which that's stupidly cheap as well. And we'll see later on. I think I didn't actually. Bontempelli's went for a huge amount. I will bring that up as a matter of fact later on. And then this one is Frio's retro jumper, which of course we'll be wearing this weekend against Port Adelaide of all teams. You'll see the Host Plus logo in the middle of the jumper at the top of the collar, which a few people picked up in the game last week against Brisbane. In the purple home jumper, they had that for the very first time. That was talked about for next year, is getting a sponsor to cover up the Seacom logo. Not because they're trying to cover the Seacom logo, but just purely to get some more money into the club. So they were able to sell that spot, which they were talking about for next year, but they managed to get it in 3 rounds before the season ended.
I don't think it would look bad if it wasn't heat pressed. It looks worse in person because it's shiny, because it's heat pressed.
So when we saw them on the weekend, up very close, the heat pressed onto that white jumper looked awful.
It's because it's shiny.
Yeah.
I don't like the heat press, but from here it actually looks quite good.
From here, and I actually had to ask the question, that looked like it was actually on the jumper. I thought that they'd made a whole new set. But they haven't. They heat pressed all of
You just can't see it in the photo. But if it looks like that when they do bring them out, it actually looks okay. I didn't like the heat pressed of it.
No. So that one is heat pressed. So next year, I assume Host Plus will continue sponsoring and keeping that spot. So keep a lookout for that. And they will no longer be heat pressed, I would imagine. Off the retro talk now. That's that. The Freo mob will be auctioning those retro jumpers as well, by the way. Hasn't been announced yet, or I haven't found out whether it's going to be on Official Memorabilia or back to the old Freo format. I have a feeling they will be back to the old format, however, but don't keep me to that. I'm not 100% sure that they were all that stoked with the last Official Memorabilia auction as far as how it went dollars-wise, or the
advertisement
of it.
It wasn't really heavily advertised.
No, it wasn't. So I think they may go back to the old format before looking at maybe going back to Official Memorabilia next year. We'll see about that. But don't hold me to that because I haven't got confirmation of that yet. So that's retro talk. I should come up with a cool little thing for that. Retro talk. Now, Em, we're on to your favourite segment, and it's not Mail Day. It's become your favourite segment because you thoroughly enjoy talking about it and giving us a rage. This segment right now is about scammers.
Oh, they're back.
They're back.
Oh, but I've raged on the basketball court tonight.
Yep.
So
we were actually trying to lose at basketball tonight, which is very interesting.
We somehow still won.
We were trying our best to lose. Well, I was trying harder than everyone else because I was running up the court, turning the ball over awfully.
I was putting
up some god-awful
putting
shots.
up too much defense, too much good defense.
And everyone else has got too much competitiveness, and they were just trying to win the game. So that failed. Now we have to play against the top team next week in the semi-finals.
I was doing all right, and then I got crunched by one guy, so I told him they were a bunch of morons. And then a guy and a girl literally sandwiched me and crunched me.
No foul.
No foul. So I told her to fuck off.
Never say
And
politely.
then as I was taking the ball down the court, the guy was like, huh? And he, obviously in the mixed, you can't steal off a girl. And that was the guy that just crunched me at that time too. So I was like, fucking try me, mate. I'll fucking flog you. And he was just like, so I've had my rage on the basketball court. What do you want from me now?
Well, so we have 2 scammers this week. I need to start doing this to this camera. We have 2 scammers this week. One has a very familiar name.
Oh, yeah?
However, the other one is new to us.
Oh, God.
This is a slideshow. I'm not sure how it's going to go, but we'll see here. So let's have a look. First scammer. We'll just have a look real quickly. I'll pause that slideshow. Have a look at the name in the eBay name, I guess.
Yeah.
Thomas, whatever that says. Okay? And take note of the jumper, because I believe this jumper has been placed up for sale before.
Mm-hmm.
Now, once it gets onto the next photo, which I'll force it to, if you can see up close where they've changed the item description, they've added some extra words here. Have a readout for us.
Okay, so the whole thing?
Yeah, go on.
Carlton, FC 1994, Peter Dean match worn jumper. The whole thing?
Yep.
On 11th of August 23 at specifically.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Just
Time.
read the words.
Seller added the following information. 1994 Peter Dean jumper. If you have any questions or want to
See all
jumpers I have, message me on Facebook, Alex Courts, or
the
phone number. Yeah.
We'll block out the number. However, that name should ring a bell to you, Alex Kurtz or Kurtz. Alex Kurtz is what I've been calling him. Alex Kurtz. Doesn't ring a bell?
No.
We had a discussion about how this Alex Kurtz person had ripped off a lot of people in the Facebook AFL Player Issue Match 1 Facebook page for about $8,000 to $12,000 for all Carlton jumpers. He was selling them to people, not sending them, and he also said somebody
People bought that jumper and they were all like in.
Yep, they all got into the group chat.
Is he again?
He's back selling on eBay, and he's not just got that one jumper.
How
He's
does
got
he
a
get
bunch
positive
of them.
feedback on eBay then? Because it says he has positive feedback.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. Is he's got, I think, 2 positive feedback.
2 positive feedbacks
recently. So he obviously has sent a couple of people their jumpers, or he's sold them to his mates, and then got a couple of
positive
feedbacks for people
feedback.
to buy them. But also the positive feedback thing is if you cancel the transaction, that you can't be left feedback. So he may be doing dodgy shit, which somebody had that issue.
Dodgy prick.
Yeah.
Actually, don't block out the number. Leave it up there. Why would you block it out when he's scamming people? I'm serious. Like, why would you block out that number and do him a favor when he's not doing a favor for anyone else?
Yeah.
Fuck him.
Here comes the rage. So the stupid thing is, I'm sure he knows that people are after him or that they're not happy, because he would have had a lot of people messaging him, abusing him.
Sure he will after they've seen his number.
Yeah, okay, so
people,
fair enough.
The numbers on the page.
We're going to leave it. So
yes! And fucking message him! Fucking abuse him! I'll do it. Can you bring that number back up again?
Our challenge to you is to send him as many messages as humanely possible.
Abusive messages. Don't be nice about it. Abusive. And then do you know what you do? You get your mum's phone, and then you send one from your mum's phone. Then you get your dad's phone, you send one from your dad's phone. Then you get your husband, your wife, your cat's sister's brother's phone, and you send one from that phone. And you just keep going. We're all going to do this.
Well,
Let's do this together. Go team.
The thing is, I don't want anybody to get in trouble. So be careful when you send it through. I understand he's a scammer and he's doing all this and that, but I don't want you to get to a point that you're going to get in trouble. He could go to the police, and you never know. I don't want people to go too far with this. Don't want to start threatening people or anything like that.
This fuckwit, I tried to say that nicely, but I can't. You think this fuckwit's going to go to the police and be like, oh my God, these people are sending me. No, don't death threat him. Just Send him, you're a piece of shit. Leave it at that. Send another one from another phone. Go the way, you're a piece of shit. Like, but you don't think he's gonna go to the cops, you reckon, and be like, hey, these people are upsetting me.
Yeah.
And then these people are gonna go turn around and go, by the way, this guy.
Have you seen the snowflakes of today? I mean, shit. Anyone will complain to the cops or to social media about people bullying them when they're the ones who are doing all the bullying. So be careful. I am acknowledging that he
No
needs
death
to
threats.
be.
Don't death threat. No death threats.
He definitely
No
needs to be
Emma's
put in his
rages.
place.
No death threats. Just keep it. But send it. But
Thank you.
Keep it.
And
Just keep sending him these. There's an emoji that does this now. Do you know that?
Oh, there you go. Just do that.
Do that.
So, as Em says, just send this message to him. Don't screenshot this right here and send that to him. We'd rather you send that emoji.
Yeah, no, don't send that. Just make sure you blur my face out if you're going to do that.
Don't tell him that we sent you, but please do send him as many of the finger emojis as possible. He deserves it. He's a scamming piece of shit, and now he's got a bunch of jumpers up on eBay, and we'll see what happens with those because there's heaps of them on there.
Fucking
And the
tosspot.
worst part is he's just gone and shown everybody his phone number.
His phone number?
And,
Huh.
I mean, he clearly doesn't give a shit because he's put his name up there. That
He's not even trying to hide his name.
No.
What an
So
idiot.
there has been word that his father, as we've mentioned before, was on the board for Carlton, and that people should go to him because I'm sure he wouldn't be happy about what his son's doing. Apparently, people have gone to the father, and he hasn't given a shit. So that's a little bit disappointing.
Well, it kind of goes to show how he is the way he is, though.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're brought up like that, then of course you're not going to, if your dad basically brought you up to be like, meh, fuck what people think, which is fine. I mean, fuck what people think. But,
yeah,
like, if that's how he's been brought up, and obviously his dad's not pulling him up on it. If I did anything like that,
I think that he's probably just gone, I can't help this kid anymore. He's
maybe
he's out of control. He's selling jumpers that don't even belong to him
if
anymore.
I did anything like that, and trust me, I've done something when I was younger that got me in a lot of trouble that mum and dad had to bail me out of. I remember for weeks, Dad, every time I woke up in the morning, Dad would be like, how's your day? I'm like, yeah, good. And he goes, just letting you know, I'm really disappointed in you. And he said that for months. And then one day he turned around to me and he goes, I think you've heard enough of it, haven't you? And I was like, yeah, I'm done. Like, please don't say it anymore. He just said every day, every morning, he'd be like, I'm really disappointed in you. And I'm fucking hell, that hurt. That hit hard. So
yeah, I don't think that Mr. Kurtz has endorsing what he's doing, of course. I just
Alex,
think
darling, stop putting your number up because it's not going to do you any favours.
Yeah, a bit silly from Mr. Alex, but clearly he doesn't give a shit. So he's not the only one. There you go. There's that number again.
There's that number again. People screenshot that.
We have another one, which
oops, we accidentally showed
Mr.
the number
Andy
again.
Munro has actually told us about. This gentleman here, Lockie Hoft, rather. Get a good look at that. He's only got 16 friends. That's pretty pathetic for
That's literal scammer.
That's scam wise.
That's speaking scammer.
16 friends.
No cover photo.
No. So this gentleman has been selling multiple times over this jumper here, which is actually the player issue. He's got him at 24 on the back from memory. And everyone knows that the Sweeping Magpie is one of the most sought after Collingwood jumpers. So he has been selling this left, right, and centre on Marketplace. I can't remember how many mentioned it, but there was quite a few. Once Andy actually put up that he'd been scammed for this jumper, that he'd sent the money and the guy had ghosted him, he actually blocked him. That a bunch of other people started doing the same thing, saying that they had also paid for it and they've also been blocked. So it just continues to happen. And this is actually very recent. This is only a couple of days ago where Andy has pointed out that this is now back up for sale again. And there you go, number 24. Still scamming on Facebook Marketplace in Adelaide. Do not be fooled by this listing. This kid does not, or if he does have it, he ain't sending it to anybody. He's just getting everybody's money and then blocking you and keeping the money. So, this is where your rage is full go. You've been very quiet with this looking kid.
Rage was a little bit of a rage. It was more of a do as I say. Send a message to that number.
So this Lockie gentleman has just been scamming left, right, and centre again. He's been scamming everybody for their money and just blocking them. And he scammed our good mate Andy Munro.
Mail day.
Mail Day, Mr. Mail Day
He
himself.
scammed my mail day, man.
Yeah.
What a...
Thank you for that.
I did that deliberately, so you have to edit that out. What a prick.
Yeah.
How can you scam Andy Munro?
Yeah.
I mean, how can you scam anyone? But Mr. Munro, you can. No.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's the real person's name. Probably not.
Probably
but
not, no.
Unfortunately, you probably never know. But the easiest way is just to avoid that jumper. If you see his name come up or you see that jumper, you ain't going to get it, so just stay away from
You gotta
it.
be so careful though. Like even on like on our community page that we're in, scammers left, right, and centre.
Mm.
Like it's just ridiculous. Go
Yeah.
get a job, you fucking lazy pricks. You know, at the beginning of this when I said I was keeping it PG,
Yeah,
you've ruined it. I did, yeah.
Oh, I don't remember.
Did.
That.
But yeah, just go get a job. Like, what is wrong with you? And like, how I have a guilty conscience. And I went to Coles once, and I forgot that I had a cooked chicken sitting in the bloody the baby seat. Paid for all my groceries, got back to the car. There's that cooked chicken sitting there still. I felt like that's it. I'm going to hell. That's it. Like my conscience play. How do you not? How?
Now, hang on, Em. Did you go back and pay for
I did, yeah.
cooked chicken?
I took it in. I said, I'm so sorry. And she was like, why'd you bring it back? I was like,
We were watching a gentleman today at Coles, as a matter of fact, going up and down each aisle, picking shit off and just throwing it, just ditching it and abusing nobody. There was nobody in each aisle. He was just going up each aisle, abusing nobody.
The items. He was just upset at the items.
He was very upset at those items. Picking a new one off the shelf and ditching them.
At that
So
one.
we were watching him and up and down, up and down. Eventually I was like, I can't watch this dude anymore. But no one else was watching him. Security would have watched, but no one was interested. They obviously get that a lot at Coles.
It just is funny, isn't it? How like you have like such a guilty conscience for not paying for a cooked chicken, which costs $12, and this guy's probably got, if he scammed like 4 or 5 people, good $500-600 out of them.
Yeah, I think
care
it's
less.
a lot more than that.
Couldn't care
From
less.
what I can tell, it's probably scanned at least 8 people, which 8 times 150.
How are people paying though? Are people paying bank transfer?
Well, that's the
Or
thing.
If people are paying PayPal and you always pay with the goods and services thing, I'm pretty sure you've got a leg to stand on. But I'm pretty sure if it's bank transfer, I think it's basically the banks being like, well...
I mean, you can try. You can go to the banks and say you've been scammed, but you have to do a police report.
Yeah,
You can try that, but they probably won't do anything.
They probably will tell you, I'm sorry, but you've... Yeah.
So the moral of the story is if it's somebody new who you have not dealt with before, always try and pay either by cash. So pick it up. Pick it up is obviously the easiest thing. But if you can't do that, obviously he's more than likely not going to say, yeah, come to my house.
Yeah.
But if it doesn't matter, if it's somebody new and you're still going to buy the jumper, either go pick it up and pay cash and get it hand straight to you, or pay by PayPal goods and services only. Don't, if they say please pay by friends and family, say no, I'm paying by goods and services, but I'll pay the extra.
Yeah, you can pay the extra. It's only a few dollars.
Oh, it depends on how much it actually.
I mean,
is total,
if it's $5, I mean that $5 could save you. You know, say you paid $155. That's $150 that you've just saved yourself if they turn out to be a scammer. Because if they go, if you say, I want to pay PayPal, and they go, nah, sorry, bank transfer only, that to me immediately is a red flag and go, no, I'm sorry. I mean, I sold something the other day, my retro jacket, but the chick came to the house and said, can I pay you with Pay ID? And she did it right in front of me. And then she showed me and she goes, check your account before I leave. And I checked and she goes, yeah, all good, cool. But that was fine. Like it was face to face. I wouldn't pay anyone money for shit.
No.
And I mean, unless it's, you pay for stuff all the time, but you know the people. If it's someone you don't know, I just can't trust anyone.
No, well, that's it. And this Alex Kurtz person has had successful transactions in the past. So from that, I guess people thought he was more trustworthy, but
obviously not.
Unfortunately, went by the wayside, and it just proves that not everybody can be trusted. So unless you have a very good reputation, or the person that you're buying off has a very good reputation, I would always recommend to pick up with cash or pay PayPal goods and services. So, and then in saying that, I know that he sent tea towels to our mate Matt Harvey.
It's not funny. It's not funny. I'm sorry, Matt. It's not funny. It's funny, but it's not funny. I love that you sent a package to Matt Harvey as well, and you wrote on the back of it tea towel item description tea towels. It's not funny. That's shit. And they weren't even good tea towels.
They were soiled.
They were shit tea towels.
But then, so I mentioned that he can still send and he can have a tracking number, so he can say to PayPal, and here's my tracking, and you can see it was delivered. So
Mhm.
that's a way around it for
Mhm.
him. So if they say goods and services, well, there's my proof.
Mm.
So if you're not comfortable, always video yourself opening that package.
I think, video yourself opening the package and make sure you put, when you send them the money, description, put like AFL Collingwood jumper or something like that. And so then when you film yourself opening it and it's tea towels, you can be like, that's not what I paid for.
Yeah.
Like, you just got to be smart, unfortunately.
You do. Unfortunately, you have to be very careful and very smart. I mean, if he's doing it to people like Mr. TikTok King himself, he'll do it to anybody. He doesn't give a shit.
Can't believe he did it to Andy Munro. That makes me really angry. That
So
upsets me
yeah, it does.
greatly.
So in saying that, we'll move on to our next segment, which involves Mr. Andy Munro,
From the great man.
from the great man himself, and that is
Mail day.
Mail day.
Mail Day. It is indeed.
We'll never be able to do it as good as him.
We only have the one package again today, and it is another large
Don't throw it.
package. Very large box, and Em's just gonna just take it because that's
Yep.
the safest way to do that with these boxes. With these ones now, I have an issue with official memorabilia, and put it back. In that this comes like this, as you can see, it's quite large, fragile written all over it. On the box, it actually has on the label what's inside
Yeah,
of
it
it.
tells you specifically what it is.
Yeah,
Because the first one you got, the Jackson one,
Mhm.
I found it out the front, tucked behind a pot plant. Not very well either. And keep in mind, there's friggin' orange tape on it so you could see it a mile away. I
Yeah, it
saw it when I
stands
pulled
out.
in the driveway. And it said, Fremantle Indigenous Home Guernsey Luke Jackson,
Mhm.
match worn or whatever it was. And I was like, you're joking. Like, you're telling the person what they're stealing.
Yeah, so I'm not stoked about that. And it's really hard to figure out if you can. I don't think you can even say
You
don't
don't need
leave
to
it or
have it
where
on
you
there.
can
Why
put
does it
it.
need to be on there?
Yeah, it's not. I don't
Oh,
really.
it actually even says it on the top here too.
Yeah, tells you everywhere what
Tells
it
you
is.
everything.
So I'm not a fan of that. If I don't think you can get them sent to parcel lockers either. So I'm a little bit worried about these in future because these boxes aren't small. So feel free to go ahead and open that one. And as we've seen with the latest official memorabilia auctions, they're coming in this new box. This box is massive.
Yeah, the box is a bit excessive.
And I will say the box is very nice.
I actually haven't seen this one.
Okay. Well, you shouldn't have because it's mail day and it's the first time it's been opened. Again, full disclosure, it's not the first time it's been
Do you want to
opened.
take the out of it first?
It's up to you. This is the second time it's ever been opened. I don't know if Em's seen it or not. Probably
No, I
not.
haven't seen this one.
But as you can see, the box is rather big. Now, the issue I'm going to have here is when we start getting a few of these in, because we have got another 3 or 4 coming.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I know.
Where the hell are we going to put the boxes?
Where the hell are we going to put these boxes? They're not small. So, I'm not a fan. I would rather just not have these boxes. And I don't really like the tins either, because you can see the tins up there.
They always come dented.
There's a lot of them, and they're all dented.
Always
They're
come
not in
dented.
great condition. I would rather not pay the $29 shipping that it costs because of these boxes.
Mm.
And then, the box is great when you first get it. But now, if I've got a few of them, I don't know where to put them. They're just too big and bulky. Don't know where they're going to go. We'll have to figure that out. We've only got 2 right now, but we've got a few more on the way. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure what to do. But anyway, feel free to go ahead and open that one up.
Did you even put it in here? No, you
Not
didn't even
really.
put it in nicely,
I didn't.
Erin. Ooh.
So, if those who remember, if you did watch the show a few weeks ago, we did the Indigenous voting, and Em was voting on what was the best Indigenous jumper. This one was voted the best Indigenous jumper by Em, and not, I don't think, only Em. I'm pretty sure there were some polls out there that also voted this number 1. I, however, voted the Port Adelaide jumper as number 1, but there you go. If you want to show the people, Em, we will do.
You're supposed to put the foam back in the middle.
Yeah, I didn't do that particularly well. So we'll quickly show it to you, and then, of course, we'll show you some photos and videos afterwards as well, what it looks like up and close and all those details. This one is Isaiah Winder, who didn't actually play in the game, but I got it because it was rather cheap. Stupidly cheap, as a matter of fact. I think it was about $200 that I paid for this jumper. which for an Eagles auction, any point, that's stupid cheap. So I'm glad I picked it up. It is really cool. The box is kind of cool, but just too many of them. Eventually, it's just not
They're
going
going
to
to become a problem.
They will become a huge problem.
I like the backing of them.
Yeah, the packing is cool. I'll give you that.
Backing's cool.
Now that you have held that jumper in hand, and you can see everything, all the details up close.
I've already seen one up close. Like, I've seen a retail one up close and that.
What do you think of it?
I think it's amazing.
You still think it's the best one out there?
Yep. And there you go, Eagles fans. If you have what she did on this podcast with nitpick the West Coast fans and everything, I like this jumper. I think it's beautiful.
Well, all right, cool. Because I don't like it.
Oh, get out of it. No one asked your opinion.
I mean, anybody who's watching this show, they kind of want our opinion. That's what this show is about.
Not yours.
Em's already given her opinion when we did the voting. Now, my opinion is I really don't.
La 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 la. Aaron likes a jumper.
You done? No, not a fan. The colours to me just don't go very well. They're kind of washed out. It's just blue and gold.
Colorblind?
No, I don't like it. Yes, blue and gold is okay, but these ones are washed out. I'm just not a huge fan of it. I just don't think it's that great. The eagle doesn't have a face. For me, I get that it's an Indigenous painting or drawing, but it's just, I don't like it. I'm just not a fan. That's it. That's my opinion. My opinion is that. Not a fan. I like the fact that they're New Balance. That's kind of cool. Like the Caltex logo in the middle, and that's about as far as I go with how much I like that jumper. I don't like it. Not a fan.
Well, I don't like you right now.
Give me that Port Adelaide jumper all day, any day. It looks far better.
I don't like you right now either. So your face is washed out.
Yeah, okay, so are you going to tell me with straight face?
Can you stop asking me questions while I'm trying to bend down to put this thing back?
You're going to tell me straight face right now that jumper you're holding in your hands is better than the one next to you, the Fremantle Dockers Indigenous jumper?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I think you're mental, but sure.
I don't mind that, but I don't think that's the best Indigenous we've ever had.
I'm not asking what the best Indigenous we've ever had is. I'm just saying that jumper there looks better than that West Coast one for me, and that is pretty biased opinion. But I don't like
next
it.
episode, I'll put this here, and we'll ask people which one they thought stood out better.
Sure, I don't think the West Coast one stands out at all. I think it looks washed out rubbish. That's probably pretty harsh, but I'm just not a fan.
Rubbish.
So in saying that, if anyone has a Seacom West Coast Eagles jumper they would like to trade for this, feel free to hit me up.
Come on, back me up, people.
I'll trade you.
Back me up,
I'm
people.
not a fan of it. Don't like it.
It's
cool to have a 2023 West Coast.
Do you know what? No, you can't sell it because I'll take it as mine because you sold my Lee Spur without asking me. So that'll make up for it.
No.
Yep.
No, don't like it.
Yep.
No. Hit me up.
It's not yours anymore. It's mine.
No.
It's mine.
No.
He sold my jumper.
It was years ago now, and I'm pretty sure you did know about it. I'm pretty sure I told you at some point. But no, I don't like it. So West Coast fans, if you have a jumper that you want to trade me for it, hit me up. I'll see what we can do. It's cool to have a 2023 Indigenous or just 2023 West Coast in general because it was pretty hard to get a 2022 one. But if anyone does have a 2022, I will trade you for that any day long. Don't like it. For me, not great.
You hurt me.
Sorry. No.
You hurt me deeply.
Literally, as soon as I opened that box, I went, yeah, no, I don't like it. Shit house. Yeah.
You hurt me.
Didn't like
as soon
it
as
at
I
all.
opened it, I was like, oh, it's beautiful. You hurt me.
Very
Well, they say
interesting.
opposites attract, though,
Yeah.
don't they? So here we go. This
Yeah.
is why we're married.
Interesting opinions. I don't know if it's just because it's blue and gold, and the blue and gold
It hurts him.
hurts me a little bit over the last few years. I don't know if it's that. I just didn't think those colours went particularly well on that jumper. Those colours just washed out to me, and no, I don't know. Didn't
It
like
hurt
it.
me.
Didn't
Anyway.
like it. Anyway, moving on. That was
Moving
Mail
on.
Day. Thank you very much.
Gonna make me cry.
Mail Day brought some feelings out. All right. So now that we've just talked a little bit about the auctions, we will show you a whole bunch of the auctions that have ended fairly recently. We'll start off with this one, which, funny enough, West Coast Eagles waffle jumper. This was the cheapest one that went for $150. So they wore this design in the waffle. It is the yellow version of that blue Indigenous. So pretty cool. Cheapest one was $150. And then the most expensive
Oh.
was Liam Duggan's at $577.
Holy crap.
That was most expensive.
For a waffle, though.
For a waffle, yes. But this is the first time that the West Coast Eagles have ever sold a waffle jumper. So
Oh, okay.
I was a little bit surprised that they actually went quite cheap.
Is that a good player, too?
Liam Duggan is a good player, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Obviously didn't play in that game, though. So I guess this is
That's a lot.
player issue jumper. So $575, I guess, for a player issue. But it's a West Coast. No matter what you say, it's a West Coast jumper. So it's a little bit surprising to me that it did go that cheap. This is Hawthorn's Emergency Services jumper from 2023. Cheapest one, Ned Long, $100. That's a bargain. And then the most expensive was Will Day at $975. This was fairly on in the piece as well this season. This year, I believe, and for me, I think the auctions actually started out a little bit slowly as far as pricing goes, because you'll have seen in the recent ones, which we'll talk about next week, but the recent Hawthorn ones went for a lot more than this. And then we'll see a bit more later on as well. This was their Indigenous one they had. The cheapest one was $150, Max Ramsden. And I
I
apologize.
don't like how those boxes open that way either.
No, well, that's the old box. So, yeah, they only started doing the new box in the
Mm.
last couple of auctions. So, that was the old box. I actually didn't mind that. I thought that was kind of cool. And then the most expensive was James Sicily
Holy crap.
at $1,100. And this was the retro jumper, which I thought was a fantastic jumper.
What's with the X's on the back?
Well, that's just a sample.
Oh,
So
okay.
that was
okay.
where
So it would have been a number.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so that was a
got it.
number. It had a really cool sewn-on patch, and the number was sublimated onto that. I don't think it was sewn on. Would have been really cool if the number was sewn, but I believe it was actually sublimated onto the jumper. So that was our retro for this year, and that was the cheapest at $150. Ted Closey, I think. Sorry if I'm butchering these names. I reckon that's an Irish player. No idea. I thought that was pretty cheap anyway. And then Tom Hawkins was $1,225.
Why do I feel like that's cheap for a Tom Hawkins, though?
Yes, and it is, because you'll see a bit later on that they skyrocketed from there. But even so, retro, pretty cheap. And then again, Ted Closey, the inaugural Gather Round jumper. Again, I thought this was really cheap because it's the first time they ever had a Gather Round.
Mm.
So to see that their first ever Gather Round jumper go for this cheap was actually really surprising. So $175 was cheapest. And then Tom Hawkins again, $1,475 was most expensive. Again, still early on in the season. So as I was saying, I thought the auction started off rather slow this year. And to prove my case, Callum Coleman-Jones was the cheapest Alan Aylett player issue. Alan Aylett, I'm not too sure. I apologise for that. To be perfectly honest, I have no idea who that was at all. Was a tribute jumper to him. And this was a player issue, obviously unworn, went for $50. And this is from round 1. So very, very early. $50, Em. That's unheard of.
I mean, the jumper and the tin alone are worth more than that.
Well, yeah.
And then add postage on top of that, like...
Yeah. Well, the postage probably would have cost $29 with that stupid
But
tin.
still, yeah, true.
And then the most expensive with Harry Sheasel. So this would have been his debut jumper. I'm pretty sure it was from round 1. I'll put up confirm that. So if it was his debut jumper, $1,575, nuts. Because again, you'll see later on that the Cheesel, the big Cheesel, starts to go a bit nuts. $1,575 was most expensive in that one. Blake Drury, North Indigenous jumper, $175 was the cheapest. And then the Shees, $1,825 is most expensive. Keep in mind, this is a rookie that's getting these dollars.
That jumper, though.
I didn't mind it.
I don't like it.
I didn't mind it. And then this really cool, beautiful Indigenous jumper.
That is pretty.
James Blank, the first was the cheapest, sorry. $250.
You need one of those.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Those are nice. It's simple, but that's nice.
Yeah, I really like that.
I like that. It's got to be one of the best Anzacs I've seen in ages.
Mm.
I do like the Anzac jumpers, but that's powerful. Like,
yeah, it's super cool. I would like one of these. So if somebody does want to sell one, hit me up. But this is the cheapest one, $250.
right.
So this is where you start to see they're getting a little bit more expensive.
Mhm.
And this is one of the first of the ISC jumpers are out for sale with the Skechers logo in the middle of it. I will talk about ISC jumpers a little bit more in the next episode as well, because there's a little bit we want to talk about that. And then the most expensive was Jai Newcomb at $1,525.
Yep.
Sorry, $1,825. Apologies. And then we've got Fremantle Dockers' first attempt at the Indigenous, first attempt at official memorabilia.
See, I don't like this. They've not put up.
Mhm.
This is what annoys me about Freo is they don't put up.
No, this is not Freo's fault. This is
So
official
this is
memorabilia.
official memorabilia.
Yeah.
So they've put up. So you would, even though it says Indigenous, you're looking at a picture that's not Indigenous. So
Nope.
you're not really even sure what you're getting.
I mean, yeah, you would
You
do if you know
are.
what this is, but if someone's just gone on to have a punt,
Yeah.
but you're not 100% certain.
I don't like that. Put the picture up of what you're actually getting.
Yeah, I agree. I think that could have hurt.
That doesn't sell very well.
No, and that proved it. $250 was the cheapest, and that
Mm.
was the cheapest jumper of this season by quite some distance.
Yeah, that doesn't sell.
No surprise at all that this was the cheapest auction because it went to official memorabilia. And then the most expensive was Michael Walters at $2,000,
Yeah.
which is not a surprise.
Makes sense, yeah.
His jumpers have been going 2,000 plus all year, including last year as well.
Especially the Indigenous.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
he's one of our most well-known Indigenous players, yeah.
Yep. And then the Andrew Phillips Essendon Anzac jumper, $575. That's the cheapest.
Really?
$575.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Really cool design, though. Those poppies look
Yeah, I love the
fantastic on those
poppies.
sash. And like you said, the Anzac Day jumpers look great. And then the most expensive was Andrew McGrath at $2,025. So good dollars there for Anzacs, and they probably did give some money to the Anzac Appeal, I assume. I'm not too sure about that, but it's a bit of a guess. Next up is the Brisbane Lions home Indigenous. Kalen Lane was the cheapest at $200. For a team that's on the rise or always in the top 4 at the moment for the last few years, $200 is a little bit of a surprise. No idea who the player is, so that's probably why it's so cheap. The most expensive, Charlie Cameron.
Not surprising.
$2,125.
Everyone loves him, eh?
Of course. Well, Dermot may not love him after last week.
Why?
You were here. What are you talking about? When he wasn't happy about it, meeting him.
Oh, yeah.
Not that we said his name out in public. I apologise for that. Couldn't get my head on the screen now. I'm trying to get my head on the screen. It's not working. Anyway, I didn't say it in person last week, but yeah, that's who he was talking about, Charlie Cameron. So if you didn't see it, go back and have a listen. Ted Closey, his name's back again. This bloke, obviously, Geelong fans don't rate because he's back again. The cheapest player, $175 for Geelong's Anzac jumper was the cheapest. And then the most expensive was Max Holmes.
Really?
Em's got no idea who Max Holmes is, and I'm going to be perfectly honest, I don't either. His was the most expensive.
It went for
$2,200.
Yeah.
Yep, most expensive.
Okay.
I think the second most still wasn't Hawkins or Jeremy Cameron either.
See, I would think of like Geelong, I'd think of like Dangerfield, Hawkins, all that would be the top.
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
Max Holmes, number 1.
No clue.
No, me either. Ted Closey.
He's back again.
No one rates this guy.
No one likes him, eh?
This is that
Probably a lovely guy.
That god-awful Indigenous jumper they wore this year.
Yep.
Or they wore it for First Nations round. They had a First Nations round this year. Last year and the years before it was NIDOC round. This year was First Nations week. Ted Closey, again, very sorry, mate, but no one likes you.
Don't rate you,
Some
obviously.
blokes probably bought all of your jumpers, and he really does rate you.
Yeah.
$175 was the cheapest in that design, and then Tom Hawkins is back, most expensive, $2,200.
See, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense to me. Yep.
And we got the gorgeous.
It is a pretty jumper. I'm not saying it's not a pretty
best
jumper. I'm
Indigenous
gonna
jumper
fucking
from
throw
this year.
something at you in a minute.
Port Adelaide's fantastic. Hit it out of the park, 10 out of 10 Indigenous. Trent Dumont, $375. That really surprised me that went so cheap. People might be thinking you're nuts, but I am not, because if you keep an eye on Port Adelaide auctions, they go insane.
Yeah, they're insane.
The retros that we were talking about earlier, they're just going to go out of this world. $375 was the cheapest, and then Zach Butters, $3,725 is most expensive. A lot of people think that Zach Butters is going to be up there for Brownlow medal this year, so that is not a surprise. His stocks have just risen completely this year. And then Josh Rochelli was the most expensive Adelaide Crows jumper. One that you really liked. I didn't really like it, but it's not too bad. It's better than they've had recent times, I think. His was most expensive, $2,250. And then the cheapest was Luke Nankervis at $175. I actually got Luke Nankervis's red jumper from last year, and I posted on Instagram, and he commented on it. So he seems like a good lad, Luke. That was the first half. We do have another 28 jumpers to go through.
God.
There's been a lot of auctions this year. It's been pretty insane. So let's get on with it, because otherwise we're going to run out of time here. When I say run out of time, we ran out of time a long time ago.
Okay, you know how we said we're going to keep it short.
Harry Sheasel is back, and this was absolutely amazing. Calm down, man. Calm down.
Oh, it's screen showing.
Harry Sheasel's Good Friday Superclass jumper, which I thought was fantastic with that purple diamond behind the roo. He's went for $2,275, and then the cheapest was Flynn Perez. Great name. At $250. Again, this is another jumper that I would love in the collection. Anyone has one, I want to sell it, hit me up. Keen. And I'm just chucking this in here because official memorabilia not just AFL jumpers, but they also sell some pretty random stuff. This, however, was not particularly random because the World Cup's coming up. Cup of Nations, Matildas versus Spain, signed by the captains. It was also match used. $2,500, and that is before the absolute euphoria of the Matildas from the last few weeks, from when the World Cup actually started. $2,500. I have a story to tell about the game on the weekend as well. That was quite fun. Cooper Harvey. Those all know who Cooper Harvey is, the North Melbourne supporters. Brent Harvey's son, Cooper Harvey. Oh, Em's just showing me a picture. I'll have to show you that in a moment. Cooper Harvey, the son of Brent Harvey, limited edition Clash, which looked like a training jumper. I thought was not great. I got put back in my place that it wasn't a training jumper. It looked exactly the same, except for it didn't have the Mazda logo sprawled out across the middle of it. That's pretty much the only difference. But I'll keep my mouth shut next time, saying that this is a training jumper. They shouldn't be wearing it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. $2,550 was most expensive, and then Aaron Hall, of all players, was the cheapest at $200. That really surprised me that Aaron Hall was the cheapest. I mean, he didn't play, obviously, but $200 for a player who's put his heart and soul in for a long time is quite surprising. Connor Rosie. I think I might have got my wires crossed earlier and said Zach Butters. I actually don't even know which one that everyone thinks is the next big thing, Connor Rosie or Zach Butters. I don't even remember. I think it might be Rosie, actually. Sorry, poor fans. I've actually forgotten which one it is. But anyway, this is the Showdown signed Prison Bars jumper. This was the most expensive one. $2,600 was the most expensive, and the cheapest actually quite surprised me.
Oh, wow.
Was Darcy Byrne-Jones, who was a All-Australian only 2 years ago. Could have even been last year. I think it might have been 2 years ago. He was the cheapest, $700, which is really surprising for a prison bar jumper. $700 was even a possibility of picking one up that cheap. The Clash Brisbane Lions Indigenous jumper, Joe Danaher's, was most expensive at $2,625, and then the cheapest was that guy. I don't even want to say his first name, but his last name is Great Brain, and it went for $225. Do you want to have a punt at that first name, Em?
No, I'm trying to figure it out because like the last letters of it are like sort of like Bo, but so it's obviously like
Shadow. I think it's Shadow Brain. Shadow Brain, that's a tremendous name.
Shaddy. I don't know. Shaddy. Yeah, I'd say it'd be like Shadow or something like that.
Shadow Brain. If that is your name, that is great.
That's actually a cool name.
And here's that god awful Indigenous jumper again. Jeremy Cameron's is the most expensive at $2,875, and then Oscar Murdoch. So it's somebody different for a change. Oscar Murdoch's went for $175. They wore that one against Fremantle in their loss over here at Optus Stadium. This is a bit different again. Tex Walker's 250th game used match ball, signed as well by Tex. $3,500 out. I got David Mundy's 300th game match used and signed ball. I bought it off the person who won it for about $250.
It's crazy.
So $3,500. People love Tex. I mean, that's obvious. But that's pretty crazy. Sometimes these auctions go a little bit nuts. That's one of those moments. One of your favourite players, Em?
Get off. Why would you put that much money into a cockhead like that?
So, as you've heard, this is one of Em's favourite players, Toby Green. his 200th game match-worn boots, which is pretty cool.
What a
I wonder if
flog.
he wore multiple pairs of boots that day. I'm sure he would have. 60 bids this got, and it sold for they sold for $3,225 plus fees. So not cheap at all. $3,500 they paid for those pair of boots.
Some flog out there that bought him thinking this flog is the greatest thing ever. You're both flogs.
Well, hopefully it was Clint.
Oh, yeah.
He doesn't listen to the
He
show.
doesn't listen to the show anyway, so
$3,500 for Toby Green's boots. I just had to put this on here.
holy crap.
Yeah, you can
Holy
read that right.
shit.
But what you didn't read right is what it actually is. And when I saw that picture, I thought, okay, this is that jersey that he's actually wearing.
Boots.
It's his boots. This gentleman, I don't know who the hell he is, because as I mentioned, we don't
Reece
watch rugby. I
Walsh.
apologise. Reece Walsh. The Queensland Maroons, they won the State of Origin this year. I hope they did, because that's what I believe. I told you, I don't know. I don't watch rugby. But his boots, I really hope that someone's not stupid enough to think that they were getting the jumper or the jersey. Whatever you want. I'm going to call rugby league shirts jerseys. State of Origin match-worn boots sold for $13,500. So plus, $1,300 extra for the.
You'd be pissed if you
fees.
didn't read the boots part, wouldn't you?
You didn't read
And
the boots, and you get a pair of boots rocking up in the mail for basically
Holy
$15,000. Someone tell me the significance of this, because I don't see it.
That's
Like I said, not a
insane.
rugby fan, so I'm
He
missing
looks
something.
young too, so it's not like he's an old player or anything.
Yeah.
He looks really young.
I'm clearly missing something here. Why somebody would pay $15,000 for a pair of boots is beyond me. So please let me know why somebody would do that. If you are that person, you must be rich.
Please explain.
Please explain indeed. This is the gentleman we spoke about earlier, Josh Addo Carr. His Indigenous round jersey sold for $3,500 as well. So good bloke though. Obviously, he's a tremendous player from what I've read and heard, but he's also just a true gentleman of the game by the
Nice
looks of it.
person.
So had to chuck that one in there. Back to the AFL. Zach Merritt's Essendon Dreamtime jersey jumper. Shit.
Holy crap.
Dreamtime jumper sold for $3,500.
That's big for a bloody
It is.
yeah.
It is indeed. And then the cheapest was $250. Rhett Montgomery.
Wow.
Not a bad little price, that one.
No.
Next up was those Indigenous jumpers that we just saw earlier. This is the West Coast. Tim Kelly went for the most at $3,800, so $4,100 after taxes or
I
fees.
thought someone like Oscar Allen or something would have got more.
Tim Kelly doesn't surprise me.
Oh, really?
He's probably West Coast best player. I'd say definitely West Coast best player. But yeah, Oscar Allen wouldn't surprise me being up there as well, being one of the youngest upcoming superstars that they have. $3,800, big money for that. And then the cheapest, $175 for any West Coast jumper is pretty insane.
Is that for a player one?
Player issue, yeah.
Okay.
He didn't play.
Oh, so it's like what you got.
Yeah.
Okay.
So $175 was the cheapest. I was going to go for the cheapest, but ended up paying probably about $20 or $25 more, or $50 more probably. $175. Any West Coast jumper. Again, this is the first time that
That's
West Coast.
cheap.
Yeah, that's insanely cheap. And like I said, this is the first time West Coast has used official memorabilia as well, same time as Freo. So I'm not surprised that they didn't go all that highly, because there's probably a lot of people, just like the
Just
Freo
didn't know
auctions, that
about it.
had no idea that they were happening. So there'd be a lot of pretty upset fans, I'd say. Either that or really not happy about their season. But couldn't see that. And now, here you go, Em, again, your favourite player.
It gets worse.
Toby Green's player issue, or match worn, no doubt, signed Indigenous jumper went for $4,500.
Why would you pay $4,500? I'm not even gonna say. There's a few theories. Why would you pay $4,500 for that monstrosity worn by that prick?
What do you mean by monster? I really like that jumper. That
It's
looks
an
fantastic.
absolute monstrosity.
You don't like that jumper?
Nope, and I don't like the prick that wore it either.
Look,
There's going to be a lot of people that back me up on this. Toby Green is I'm not going to say it, so you don't have to edit it. He is a cousin.
he's a cousin. I'm not, like, I don't know.
He's
He's
a
a great
flog.
player.
He's a flog.
I'll give him that. He's a great player.
He's a flog.
Does have his moments.
Absolute flog.
But for $4,500, that's insane. There are either a really well-off GWS fan, or they're just a fan of the AFL.
Do you
who
know
thinks
what?
it's a gun.
The fencing we got quoted out the front
The Fwant.
out the front was going to cost $4,500. I'd much rather spend it on the fencing out the front than spend it on that. Moving on.
Moving on. So $4.5 was the most expensive. Then $150, the very end of the scale.
Wow.
Jason Gilby, $150. I thought that was really cheap for what I think is a fantastic design. Well done to Dude Yes. The little feet, little pitter patters look great. Next up, we're down to the last 6. Is Lockie Neal's 20-year anniversary. So
Shit.
the 2003 Premiership anniversary match worn jumper sold for $4,500 after
I'm surprised
fees,
with Lockie
$5,000.
Neal. I'm not surprised with Lockie.
Now I did just add this one in just because. So this guy is also a first-year player, Will Ashcroft, and everyone thinks he's going to be an absolute superstar of the game. But I didn't expect it to hit $4,500.
Insane.
That's pretty crazy. And he done his knee, so that usually doesn't go well. So we'll have to see what happens. Hopefully he doesn't have the troubles that a lot of players have had after they've done their knee. We're never able to come back as good as they were. Fingers crossed that does not happen, because this guy could be anything. And then the cheapest was that bloke again. Shadow Brain, I want to call him. Fantastic name if that's it.
If that's it, I think that's fantastic. Make a mental note of that.
$225. So pretty cheap for one of those special edition 03 anniversary jumpers. Which, if you keep an eye out, I will potentially have all 3 of those jumpers coming shortly as well.
Right.
The 01, 02, and 03 to complete the collection. Last few jumpers, Em. The Anzac Port Adelaide jumpers, Connor Rosie. So that's definitely the man that I was trying to talk about earlier. Is the gun that everybody is talking about at the moment. $4,675 for the Anzac jumper of his.
And he's just a newbie at the moment.
He's played for a few years now, so he's
Okay.
not a rookie anymore. But he is very young though, very early 20s. So
Imagine being
gonna have a
told
big
your
career.
jumpers go for $4,500.
Yeah, I would love to see the reaction of some of these players when they're told that their jumper sells for that sort of price. I don't know. I just would love to know what they're thinking when that happens. Because then you got the other end of the scale. Trent Dumont sold for $350, which is still not bad.
It's still a lot of money.
It's still a decent amount of money, but it's very surprising again for a Port Adelaide jump to go that cheap. Last 2, M. And here's the most expensive of the AFL jumpers.
Yeah, see,
this
that's
season.
what I would expect Hawkins jumpers to go for.
Yeah, this is the country jumper, which never really rated the country designs, but good on them. They're sticking with the country designs. Everyone does a country round, but they're the only ones that actually do a country jumper now. Essendon did one as well, but don't do it anymore. Haven't done for a few years. Most expensive, $5,625, and then the cheapest was Oscar Murdoch at $200. That is all of the auctions that we want to talk about today. There's still a bunch more. There was actually the retro Bulldog jumpers, which I was talked about earlier, which I'll chuck up as well. Why not? We'll chuck those up now, and let me just find them because I've deleted them like an idiot.
Crickets.
No, I haven't even sold. All right. We'll chuck them up anyway. You can see the most expensive and then the cheapest one. Very cool. The jumpers are great. I'm actually really surprised at how cheap they did go for. That was super surprising. And then the St Kilda Indigenous jumpers. And I remember you talking about how great design they were. Look like a German flag. Also,
yeah.
the Indigenous colours. Great
Did
jumpers
you
they are. Sorry.
Look like a German flag.
Yeah, it did. It looks like, the colours look like a German flag.
It's meant to look like the Indigenous flag.
Yeah, I know that, but it was a World War II thing and terrible timing, all that. But it kind of gave off a German vibe as well.
Right.
It was the cheapest one of that. $245 was the cheapest that sold for, and then the most expensive, Max King, $3,560. So good dollars.
Yeah.
And then as we were talking about the Robo Dogs, the retro jumpers that sold this past weekend, Robbie McComb sold for $250, was the cheapest. Super, super cheap, I think, for a retro. And then Marcus Bontempelli sold for $4,110. So big dollars for a Marcus Bontempelli. But I was actually rather surprised at how cheap the Bulldogs auctions actually be going for this year. So everyone's just been waiting for these retro jumpers to come out, no doubt. Last 2 segments, Em, before we say goodbye. It's been a long one, which we did not expect
we
at
said
all.
it'd be short.
Viewer questions. Now, thankfully, we only have one question this week, and it's not even a question that got asked this week. This is an old question that I forgot about. So we'll come back to it because it was been in my phone for a while. But we've come back to it. Em's got it. She's going to read it out for us.
It's from PAFC Guernsey Hoarder.
On Instagram.
On Instagram, sorry, yeah. Do you think Freo have the most player issues available each year? Always seem to see so many of them up for sale, being raffled, etc. Would you prefer that they put heaps out, meaning more people get a chance of getting one, or put less out in order to make them more exclusive?
Great question. I had to think about it for a while. As a matter of fact, that question got sent to me probably a month ago. So I've had a very good
Had a
chance
month to think about it.
Great question. And I look at Port Adelaide's auctions and their availabilities of getting jumpers as the reason why my answer is the way it is. And that is, I am stoked that Freo do put out as many jumpers as they do lately. Yes, it has hurt the value of some jumpers, but the majority, especially the older ones, their value stays or gets much higher. So you'll see that anything pre-2010, which they class as now as a retro or the pre-Chevron era, the value of those jumpers is skyrocketing. Now, the post-2010 era, the players themselves, so depending on the player who you're going after, any of these gun players are still going to hold some great value. But the fact that you can get one of those jumpers for less than $4,500 that some people are paying for the Port Adelaide ones, to be able to get them, I picked up a Caleb Sarong retro jumper for $600 this year. Could you imagine trying to pick up one of the gun players of your team, no matter what team we're talking about, doesn't matter, but the gun player of your team, the most sought after design for that season, probably the top 3 players in your team, picking one up for $600 and a long sleeve at that as well. That for me makes me give that answer as yes, I'm stoked that Freo do give you many options and that you have a chance to pick those jumpers up, because it allows myself and others who potentially aren't as well off or have a collection that they can sell to fund more jumpers to be able to get the chance to pick up a superstar player and have it in their collection. Obviously, supply is demand in a lot of cases. So supply and demand for Port Adelaide fans is a lot harder than it is for Freo collectors. There's plenty of supply for Freo collectors, but it doesn't make the demand any less. The demand for the Port Adelaide jumpers is huge, but it also makes it very difficult to get them because they're so much more expensive because they're harder to get a hold of. There are big players out there who have more money than others who can just flash the cash and they'll get them. You could do the same with the Freo jumpers, but you don't need to because there's so much availability. Chances are you'll be able to get your hands on a really good jumper, and you're not breaking the bank to do so. Occasionally, well, especially with the auctions, you will pay a little bit more money. Is what it is. But if you really want to get your hands on a Luke Jackson and you don't want to risk going to the locker room, then you'll spend a bit more money. You get your hands on it, and then you don't have to worry about trying to pick one up at the locker room sale because you got it in the collection already. So anyway, yeah, my answer to that is yes, I'm glad that they do give us a lot more availability. As a matter of fact, I would wish every club would give you a bit more availability because it probably wouldn't hurt our wallets as much as it does now. And I look at those retro Port Adelaide jumpers and I would love to get myself one, but I know that it's not a possibility because they're going to go so high in value that I'm out of that market already. Just even considering it, not a chance. So as much as I'd love to get my hands on one, I know it's not going to happen. Whereas Freo, they're going to give us the opportunity at the locker room, even if I am not able to pick one up at the auction because they're too expensive. We'll probably more than likely get the opportunity to pick one out at the locker room sale. If you put the effort in to be there nice and early, you'll get a very good chance. So love the fact that if we're unable to pick them up at that high price auction, we still have an opportunity to get one at a reasonable price, probably $300 this year, if we're willing to put the effort in, which we are. So thanks for your question, and that is the only question today. So that's sad, but it's what it is. I actually didn't post for questions this week, so that's my fault. So now, Em, the final segment that we have for the day is What's in the Cave. Let's jump over to the wheel now, Em. That's not the wheel, that's you.
That's me.
That is the wheel. Okay, so those of you who don't know what we do here, we simply spin the wheel, and then whatever number comes up, Em will go into the cabinet, grab out that jumper, we'll have a real quick chat about it, and then we'll get out of here. All right, Em, what number do you reckon we're going to pull out this week?
57.
57. I'm going to go 143.
Wouldn't you? I hate the ones with the lines because it means it's going to be.
Or you could get a 345 here.
No. Stop.
Well, there's no number on that, so I don't know what happened there.
Why is there no
I
number?
don't know. So I guess we just spin it again, shall we?
Oh, come off it now. That means I don't get one. So sorry, What's in the Games is over. That's it.
Well, you're lucky it didn't go one more click because you would have had 345. So, all right, what is it now?
Ones with lines.
Oh, no. Well, that's the only one I know of that didn't have a number. It's going to be a nice low number for you, Em, which means another ironic number. Adam Jandar, number 69.
Everyone loves a good 69. We all know why he picked that number.
Yeah.
We all know.
Won't say anything. All right, we'll be back shortly. Em's going to count to 69. Could be difficult, but we'll see shortly. All right, thank you. All right, Emma's found jumper number 69. We'll give her a chance to break the place to make her way back over. I think we may have seen a number of these already, from what I can tell. Yes, we've seen a number of these already. So sorry about that. The good thing is they are great, and they are actually, we're losing a fair amount of them. So I've actually sold a bunch of these because I realized, and I said this a few weeks ago, that I can't finish this collection. So I've actually moved on quite a few. So chances are you won't see them as often come up and watch in the cave. But I do have a few more to sell in the next few weeks, either for the retro auction or for the locker room sales. Keep your eyes out for that. And you may show it now. This is the Ryan Crowley 2014 name round jumper. Round 5, 2014, against Sydney Swans. Ryan Crowley did play that game. This one's match worn. This one, do you remember what this is, Em? Or where this came from?
No.
I do.
No.
Disappointing. Em actually bought me this for Christmas.
Oh, yes. I do remember. I put it in a box. I put it in a tiny little box. I rolled it up and I tried to make it look small.
Yeah.
But as soon as you opened it and it was in a box and you're like, this is a jersey, isn't it? And I was like,
Well, this is the first time Em has ever, and the only time ever, that Em bought me a Christmas present that was a jumper. So I think she was nervous that I wouldn't like it. And back then it's a little bit different because I had quite a few of these name round jumpers. I remember going through the tub that they had full of these name round jumpers at the club back in the day at the Freo Oval, and I pulled out the Crowley, and then I didn't buy it. I thought, because I bought heaps that day, I decided to put it down. I'll go back and buy it another day. I went back the next week, and it was gone, and I was devastated. I remember telling Em, I was like, I'm so pissed off at myself for not buying that jumper. And that must have been in October, November, somewhere around there. So Em is not good at holding secrets at all.
I tried to show you my wedding dress like a year before we got married.
Terrible holding secrets. And I told her how upset that I was that I missed out on this jumper, only for her to buy it for me. While in that time, that week that I went back to go and see if it was there, she'd bought it for me and put it away for Christmas, and out it came as a Christmas present. And it was one of, if not the best Christmas present that I had ever received.
I can't buy you jerseys now because, to be fair, you see a jersey you want, you buy it. You don't wait.
Not necessarily
So
true.
it's very hard to buy you jerseys.
So there you go. We've seen the name round jumpers a lot. We won't talk too much about them, but that was what's in the cave today, and one of my favourites because it was one of the greatest presents that I'd ever received. And Ryan Crowley was a gun, and he's been named as one of the greatest taggers of all time. So super cool, and that's it. That's going to do it for the show today. We'll be back again next week. We'll talk a bit more about some of the auctions that have ended, and we've got a few more things that we want to show video-wise. And I actually had a video that I really wanted to show you this week. As a matter of fact, we'll end it with that. We'll show you this video. We had a chat about the boots thing quite a bit recently, about the kids asking for boots. And then this was Brisbane Lions. The Brisbane Lions, what's the word I'm looking for here? Oh, I've forgotten anyway. This was Brisbane Lions saying, you guys have been asking for the boots from the players. Well, this is our response to you. It's our response to you guys asking for boots. So enjoy your video when we head off for the episode today. See you later. We'll see you next week on the Player Issue Podcast. Thanks, Em, for joining me as always.
Walkers.
No walkers. All right, enjoy the video, and we'll see you next week. Adios. Goodbye.
Ciao, ciao.